Good morning. Please take just a moment before you start your first lessons. First of all, we want to. Assure you.
Good evening or morning or whatever time it may be, my friends.
Good morning.
I'm Moot Booxle.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
These days I've decided to go by my real name.
Please take just a moment. 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 Just a moment.
Anyway, it's great to be here. I'm demonstrating some synthesizers. Obviously, there are some things that I can't really show you, but I didn't take it out of the frame. I just put a towel over it.
Tired to help you lose excessive weight.
Can everybody hear me okay? Is the sound all right? I'm going to do a little sound check and then we're going to get started. I'm going to do a little noodle on the keyboards and you guys just let me know how that sounds.
Please take just a moment.
Okay. First of all, we had a little I think we had a feedback loop. Yeah, we had a feedback loop going on. So yeah, sorry about that. I forgot I have sort of a weird routing going on, so I fixed that. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to play a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we're in tune. Yeah, I guess there's got to be a trippy intro, right? So what you're hearing right now is something I recorded last night using all Behringer instruments. Shout out to Ken Flux Pierce, fluxwithit.com. Thank you all for coming. How is the sound? Is there any clipping going on? Is everything cool? Sounds a little quiet now. Okay. I'm being extra judicious with the levels. The two LEDs here on top of the Crave logo. I can't actually tell you what synth is the lead. No, actually, I think I probably can tell you. That is the that is a very early prototype of the Pro 1. There's not a whole lot more I can say about that. This was basically last night's sound check of this new rig. So this whole rig here is brand new. I did this right before I flew out for NAMM. So the bass line is this, and the sequence, of course, is the Crave. So yeah, how's everybody doing? I think we're ready to start. What would you guys like to hear? Would you like to hear some... First of all, let me answer some of these questions. I'm going to scroll back here just a second and look at how old is Mae West? Those are questions that I did not come here to... I'm not prepared to answer those questions. I am prepared, hopefully, to answer your questions about the Behringer gear. At least some of it, and there's some questions that I just have to plead the fifth on. I guess that's kind of an American expression. I forget that, like, because Behringer is such a global company that, like, I have to be careful, like, sometimes with colloquialisms, like, with my audience, because I realize that it's an international audience. Which I guess that these days it pretty much is regardless. But everybody gets their thing, you know. Okay, release date. All right, so the VC340 and the MS101 and the Odyssey will be first, I believe. And those will begin shipping sometime in March, but, you know, don't get your knickers in a twist if they don't show up for a while. They're coming, I promise. There's a lot of them already in production, so they really will they really will appear, I promise. Is the Crave LFO digital, and how high can it go? I am quite sure that this is an analog LFO on here, and let's just crank it up and see how high it can go. I'm going to turn my delay off. So very audio rate. Oh, and it does not run on batteries. Do I have a recommendation on how Kid Flux Pierce can convince his wife to be okay with the fact that he's about to drain their bank account on soundproofing and building the new studio. Well, I mean, what else would you do? This is like what we do, man. You gotta, you gotta do your thing. I don't really know how to tell you how to. Oh, hey, Serenity. Hi, everybody. I am so glad you all came to hang out with me. Okay, I'm almost down to the present. A closer look at the Crave patch bay. Yes, I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah, it's like I assume that, you could probably go a lot higher with that LFO if you were to do some patching. You could probably drive it way higher than about 2K. Yeah, it's really, I doubt it's even 2 kilohertz. It's like, it's pretty far down there. Filter FM with the LFO. Yeah, let's do it. Yes, the LFO has selectable waveforms, and it has separate outputs for triangle and square. I'll zoom in here in a minute, and we'll take a look at all the patch points in fine detail. Greetings, my Spanish friends. The map on the Odyssey, that's the minimum advertised price, is $4.99 US. Obviously, you're probably going to see that fluctuate a little bit, but that is the official map on it. It's the greatest value synth. Look, let me explain something. The Choreograph Odyssey is a synthesizer that for the last 3 years I've been recommending to everybody as the best bang for your buck synthesizer you can get. It's a classic sound. It does lots of things in a small package. It comes in its own little case. It's like $800. This, and this is not official anything. This is just Matt talking to you. This is my honest opinion. This is a no-brainer because it's less money, it's built better, higher quality stuff, got the LEDs, got the effects, got the sequencer. This is the best value synthesizer on the market, in my humble opinion. Okay, yeah, the Crave is like orange, and it's a really cool orange. I normally don't like orange, especially if it's like that sort of like, I'm from Tennessee, but I don't really like Tennessee orange, sorry. It's like too bright. But this is the perfect orange, and I'm sorry about my crap webcam. I'm gonna I'm slowly upgrading things around here. It's just taking me a little while. I guess we can zoom in on the Crave and play with that for a little bit. The Crave will not be available for some time. But that's, there's there's so much. There's just so much. There we go. Yes, well, yes, there is a touch of reverb, yes. I didn't change this channel strip from when I was using it to sing some stuff, so. Is this better? Oh, that's a through-hole towel for sure. That's an analog towel. And I would like to thank everybody. Say hi to the team from Behringer. That's yes, the UVXA is what's under the towel. So you're hearing some accenting, and you're hearing a few rests. Shout outs to the Behringer team. Frank Sacramento, Mike Lapke, Serenity, Emily. All you guys just have been so great. So let's talk about the features of this thing. We'll just go through it one at a time while this funky little sequence runs. I'll make it a little less intrusive. So obviously the oscillator here is a 3340. That's a Curtis chip oscillator. That's like that's in the Neutron. That's in the MS-101, and that's in a ton of classic synths. Obviously. Yeah. The filter works just like the filter. If you've used the Behringer D, it's the same filter. So the filter is actually like pretty much the same topology as what you'd find. That means that it also runs in high pass mode, so you can do some gnarly stuff with it that way. So right now what you're hearing is the pulse, of course, being modulated, the pulse width being modulated here by the LFO, by a triangular LFO. I'll turn the modulation off. And we'll just sweep through. I'm going to turn the resonance off, and we're going to sweep through the pulse width while this thing plays. Art travels, music travels, that is a fantastic thing. Oh, somebody was asking on YouTube, like, what was that? Why does the sound cut in and out on some of these demos when they start playing with the PWM? That's because it's PWM. Like a lot of synths don't let you go all the way to full 100% or 0% duty cycle, where the thing just disappears, where it's either fully high or fully low. And this does, and so you're actually hearing it like go in and out of like 100%. It's phasing out basically. Like this. obviously, once you start, getting into like LFO rate modulation of the oscillator, you start getting all those different harmonics when you sweep through the duty cycle of the pulse like this. You know who was a real big fan of zero duty cycle? John Cage. Okay, so that's the pulse oscillator. Now let's hear the sawtooth. And another thing that people were not complaining about, but just a note that some people brought up on the YouTubes, was that they heard the pitch drifting all over the place. That is actually when you have PWM that will go this wide, you actually start to hear a psychoacoustic effect that sounds like the pitch is changing. It was driving me nuts the other day, switching between a modulated pulse and a sawtooth. Like, I'm like, why is this thing going out of tune? It wasn't going out of tune. It's just it's an illusion. Why do I say John Cage? Because if you go 0 or 100% duty cycle, is silence. Now, the Crave has kind of a peculiar, I know I said I was going to get to the sawtooth. We will. I just want to talk about the envelope. It's got kind of a weird, in my opinion, it's kind of a weird setup for the envelope. Basically, yeah, I think this oscillator is huge sounding. I just think it's gigantic. Especially the pulse. I just love it. Like, Nick Bat, where are you at, Nick Bat? Like, you're going to love this. I can't wait to hear what he says about it. So the envelope is attack, decay, sustain, and this switch turns the sustain portion on or off, so you end up with just an AD, like a percussive type of an envelope, which is cool to have. I just kind of prefer the mini Moog type of thing where you've got the decay. See, the decay is also the release, right? That's fine. I would just rather be able to turn that part off rather than the sustain. Anyway, that's just a personal preference. But the envelope can, by default, I guess, really there's no default, but like the envelope is controlling both the VCA and the filter. If you want, you can change the VCA. It doesn't work like a 101 like gate mode. Kind of wish it did, but this is probably a little more conducive to integrating this into like a Eurorack setup, because basically the VCA can just be turned full on drone. Okay, and by default, when I change the mix control of the VCO, that is when you get the noise generator. Airwolf. Hey, Marshall Arnold. Marshall Arnold is like the stream king, man. That guy streams, is it every week? We're going to do some Ride Like the Wind, or the beginning of South Side of the Sky by Yes or something. Let's hear the noise with high pass. Okay, I guess it's really not that interesting. Sounded like the airlock came undone or something. I'm about to get sucked out into space. Obviously, this is super wet with the El Capistan delay right now. The filter can be modulated either by the envelope or by the LFO. So here's the LFO. And that is just the triangle LFO. Let's try the square. Oh, yes, it's MIDI out and through, just like all the other desktop type of Behringer synths. Just leave the low rumble. No, it is not a Q compensated as far as like, I mean, it's just like the D. Like it's I'm pretty sure that one isn't either. So let's talk about all of the patch points. Oh, also, before I get to that, I'm sorry, I keep on jumping around. I get excited. The modulation of the filter can also be turned negative, which doesn't really, it doesn't really make that big of a difference with the LFO modulation, but it does with the envelope, like quite a bit. Oh. Sans delay. Here is completely dry. It almost has that tubbiness like a diode filter, which I really love. Yeah, there's really something about this combination of the 3340 with that ladder filter. I really like that combination. And the good news is that Behringer is not through using that combination. Well, or a combination very similar. Motion sequencing? Well, no, there's no motion sequencing because it's completely there are no as far as I know, none of these pots are digitally scanned except for the gate length and the glide. I'm pretty sure the glide is exactly like the glide of the Odyssey. Oh, the sequencer features, well, okay, so here's the deal. If you want to, all right, so the sequencer, if this sequencer is very similar to like the Mother 32, if you've ever used that. Nope, it's only one 3340 oscillator in here, just a single oscillator, and obviously you can really make it sound like more than one with that massive PWM on there. And yeah, it is craving for effects, and that's why I got it hooked up to my El Kappa stand, which is like my favorite delay. But I do also want to, at times let you hear it dry, because that's what you'll be getting if you choose to purchase one of these. Oh, yes. So if right, this actually works like a keyboard. Where's my sound? Let me do this. Oh, that's right. There we go. So this keyboard, and this selects octaves. You play some mean shred on those little keys. Okay, all right. I think I need to turn on slow mode on this chat. I'm used to getting like just a few people in my chat, so I don't worry about it. But yeah, I can't keep up with all your questions. So let's go back just for a second. I'm gonna play just a little bit of sequence I hate dead airspace. Okay, what do we have here? Can you chain patterns? I am pretty sure that you can. This works just like the sequencer that is in the Odyssey and the MS-101, that you have 8 banks of 8 patterns, and they could be up to 32 steps each. And there is ratcheting per step, accent per step, hold. You can set the gate time per step. You could make it swing in either direction, which is kind of weird. Like negative swing sounds weird to me. Anyway, you can do that. And what else? Glide time. That is one thing that makes this I think a little more versatile and a little more like 303-esque than like the Mother 32, is that you can actually set glide time per step on I know you can on the Odyssey, but I'm not sure if you can on this. Look, this is very new, and one of the more impressive features of this thing is actually not working on this particular unit yet because it needs a firmware update. The unit that we were demoing at the Experience Center in LA has the ability to transpose the sequencer. Like, while this is playing, I could play some notes down here on my controller, and it would change. That's going to be a feature. It's just I have an earlier unit that doesn't have that yet. Okay, so what else we have here? Thank you all for your questions, and I'm really, if I haven't told you before, thank you so very much for being here. I'm so grateful to be showing you all this, and it's a real pleasure and a privilege. What else do we have here? And thank you to Ken Flux Pierce for being here, because he is also a Behringer beta tester, and I don't know, what would you call it? Involved with the development on a significant level with some of these instruments, particularly the MS-101. So he knows some things about this sequencer. Does the MIDI input support keyboard velocity? Well, I mean, not actually natively, because there's no facility for it on the panel. But obviously, that if you had like a MIDI CV controller or something that has a velocity output, you can certainly patch it to whatever. But I guess that's kind of Captain Obvious, right? Can it sequence CV? Well, yeah, I mean, you can sequence whatever you want, I guess. You can just... Okay, so the CV output on here is volt per octave. So if you wanted to use that as a control voltage sequencer, I guess you would probably want to attenuate it. The filter does lose low end with the resonance up, just because it's a legitimate ladder filter, like without the compensation on it. Well, yeah. The Neutron has 2 33/4 in it. Okay, all right, I'm trying to read here. What do we got? What else? Oh, here we go. Okay. Does the sequencer record velocity that you could pat? No, there's really, like I said, yeah, the velocity kind of isn't. Fingers wiggle, music comes out. Yes, it's like the sonogenic. Yeah, I think the Crave, it's the carve, the Behringer carve. It's gonna carve out a place in your rig. Oh, is there a Discord channel where we talk about synthesizers? I should get on that. Can you play a pad and do a filter? Well, of course. What shirt? Oh, yeah, I'll show you. We're going to get to the patch bay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's get into more of the sequencer stuff. Oh, yes, you can polychain these. These are absolutely polychainable. Oh, one of the cool things is that I just learned this today, and I haven't done this yet, but there are actually some features in development of the Crave. This is like new info that you're going to be able to apparently. You're going to be able to change what some of these, like the tempo. Okay, this is really, really exciting. The tempo input of the sequencer. There are all these CV inputs for the sequencer. Apparently, you're going to be able to select this to be either a tempo input, and that doesn't have anything to do with clocking the thing. Okay. You could make this either be like a tempo control, or you could make it be step advance. Dude, do you realize what you can do if you have external CV control? You can send pulses in there to step advance. You turn a 32-step sequencer into. I mean, you could build a whole tune off of it. Oh, yeah. So the thing is, this thing is still in development. Like, it's going, the first ones going out are going to be most of the ones that we debuted at the NAMM event. And then there's going to be the 808 a bit later. It's going to be a bit later because it still has a few things that need to be ironed out. And obviously, there is a whole such thing as timing. And yeah, there's actually not really a release date for the Crave yet. So if I ever get a CS80, I'm gonna put a Behringer sticker right on the front of it just to scare people. Let's see if I remember how to use this sequencer. So you hold shift and pattern, and then you hit reset, and that initializes the pattern. Then we can select octaves. This, when it's in record mode, the tempo selects the resolution, the note resolution. So obviously, you go higher, and you get more finer resolution of notes. So like all the way from like whole notes all the way to like I think 32nd notes or 64th notes. Let's see. Let's do this again. We'll do a little what is that note? Oh yeah. I'm getting the octave wrong. Oh, this also selects the gate length of notes. If you've ever used the Modulation 32 sequencer, it's very similar. I'm actually going to MIDI sync this thing to the Odyssey. There we go. Wow. Yeah, the transpose feature is something that hopefully we're going to get on all of the instruments that have this sequencer. No, unfortunately, this thing isn't really. It isn't really that easy to use, the sequencer, but it's got so many things that it can do. But I'll be completely honest and tell you that I am not right. The earlier units, which this is one of the earlier units, it does not have transpose, but the later units do. And if you look at the official videos that we did, those show the. Of course, yeah, you can play it right now. I have it MIDI'd in a chain from my controller to the Odyssey to the Crave, so you're hearing both. Yes, it has glide. It has glide, of course. I just love the PWM on that thing. It's just really, really, really nice. And see, I stammered when I said it, so you can't, like, take that and make it a meme. Nick Bat is already the king of PWM memes. Oh, before I move on to the Odyssey, let's have a look here at the patch points. I'm going to try to get as close up as I possibly can so you can see what they all are. So on the left side, we have inputs, and on the right side, we have outputs. And I really like the way they labeled that legend there, where it's just like in is the outline, and out is the black background on the labels. I think that's really clever. So we have oscillator CV input, we have oscillator modulation input, well, frequency modulation, and then modulation. So that means, I guess, ostensibly, you could, well, let's try it. I'm going to use the oscillator modulation. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to go from the triangle LFO to the frequency, to the modulation. So right now the modulation destination is set on width. So this should still give me the PWM. Let's see. Okay, that's all fine and good. But now let's take the square LFO, or the square output of the LFO, and put it into the oscillator FM input. So that should allow us to modulate both the pitch and the width. So yeah, you can. So that's nice. Also, we have an input for the filter cutoff, filter resonance, and then we have two mix inputs that can be, let me move over here. So you do have glide. And as far as I know, that's just like the other sequencers where you can set that per step. We're going to find out in a minute. I just realized that this stream is going really long, and I think I set an end time. Hopefully the thing won't just end automatically, because I'll go as long as you guys want to ask questions, because we haven't even gotten to the Odyssey yet. So this is a cool feature that you just have basically here a mixer, like you can use this as a voltage source, I'm assuming. Let's find out. I'm just going to go out this VC mix. Is there an out? There's an output for that, right? Oh, maybe there's not an output. Oh, yeah, right there. VC mix. I was going to say, that would be kind of silly if there wasn't. And let's just go into the FM. So you can put two sources in there and then use this as a voltage-controlled mixer between the two sources. And so we could do something like this. We could drop it on my patch cords. I don't have a lot of patch cords. I hate to tell you guys, but I'm a Moog format modular guy mostly. So these 3.5 millimeter jobs are just not really my thing. But I actually am learning to like them a lot, because I like the small. You can put a lot of stuff. You can cram a lot of stuff in a small package like this. So what was I about to do? Oh, right. I was going to go out the pulse. This is the pulse output of the oscillator. Mix 1. The sawtooth output of the oscillator. Mix 2. Now, there is a CV input for the mixture, and we're going to use the triangle LFO to mix that. Wait a minute. Oh. I guess you have to kind of I forgot one of the key components of this patch is that you actually have to, I'm going to switch patch cords. You actually have to patch the output of that mixer to something. Duh. So here is the VC mix, and that should just go into well, I'm just going to put it into the external input, and then we'll just move this over to the external input. So now the LFO is switching between saw and square. Hear what I mean? That there's some sort of a DC offset or something going on with the square that makes it sound like it's out of tune from the sawtooth, but it's not. It's just it's playing with your ears because there's an actual. I'll show you on a scope at later. I don't have it hooked up right now, but I'll show you on my crusty old 1969 Heathkit scope. So I guess if you don't particularly like that mixture, you can always change it. Okay, so that works. Now let's try it with square wave LFO instead of triangle. So if I'm correct, this VC mix control now, if I change that, it's going to change the offset, and it should actually give you you should hear a change in the what sounds like the duty cycle of that LFO. So it's actually just changing how much you hear of one or the other. Now, if I don't run out of patch cords, one thing that I could also do is, let's see, this LFO could also be, there's a multiple here with, I mean, it says it's like 1 in and 2 outs, but it's a multiple. It's just whatever you connect in there will just be multed together. So I could actually go out the, this LFO here into this multiple. And so now I should be able to still have my mixture. Maybe it does work in that direction. Let's see. I'm learning here as much as you guys because this is a very new synthesizer. Okay, so we have that. So this other output of the multiple, I should be able to actually modulate the pulse with. I know how you kids like your harsh noise. That was a joke, by the way. So there's a patch with some pretty patch chords. We'll go through the rest of the patch points though. So there's a mixed CV. That is a mixture. That is this mixer here is also voltage controllable. There's an input for that. So there's this little mixer as we talked about. There's a mult. You have an input for the LFO rate, which would be fun to modulate from another LFO. There is an input for VCA amount if you would like to patch in an envelope from another source. And there is also a gate input, of course, so you can actually do CV, there's a CV and gate. So you can actually do this if you don't want to do MIDI. You can, do straight up CV gate with this thing, and it's volt per octave. And one of the cool things, there's an external audio input, obviously. Oh, hey, do you want to hear that? We'll go out the. Let's just do that. Let me take all this other stuff off of here, and we'll do the old feedback trick, like someone was asking about. I apologize if I don't get to all your questions. I will eventually get to them all. So there is a noise output. There's an output of this envelope, which is handy. I was using that the other day. There are outputs for both waveforms of the oscillator. There are outputs for both waveforms of the LFO. There is an output of this mixer. there is an assignable output, which I assume is going to be one of those software assignable outputs like the Neutron has, because there actually are some features under the hood that the software team in China are working on. So that's exciting. I got a feature list earlier, but it's kind of, those things are always in flux, so I'm not really going to talk about it, but there's some really cool things that this is going to be able to do. The gate, like the sequencer advanced thing is really cool. And this is polychainable. So there is a CV and gate outputs from this keyboard or from the sequencer. There is just a direct filter output as well. Actually, why don't we do that? Let's go, I'm just going to go out the VCA output right back into the external audio input. Oh, that's interesting. You get nothing. Was it just phase canceling, I guess? Okay, I guess it's phase canceling. So let's go out of the filter back into the external audio. Interesting. Yeah, you would think it would work that way, but it's apparently. Oh, well, I guess I could do this though. I could kind of we can overdrive the filter. Let's try this. Let's try overdriving the filter by giving it like double the voltage from, I don't know if that'll work. Let's see. No. So apparently you can't really do that without an external something, but maybe I just don't know what I'm doing yet. Can this voltage source, what will that do? Nothing. Let's see if we can hear the LFO. Hey, you want to know what audio rate this thing goes to? Let's just see if we can hear it. I just patched it into the input. Now, I just thought about this. I should be able to take the keyboard CV output into the LFO rate input and be able to track the LFO like an oscillator. So you can hear how every analog oscillator at some point, just because of high frequency compensation, eventually just starts to round off at the top of its usable range. So there you go. There you go. So, okay, let me try to catch up with a few questions. If there's any burning questions that I've been ignoring, please type them again. I feel like this thing is kind of reaching a different core market than the Neutron in a way. The Neutron, in my opinion, is the better buy, but not everybody wants, not everybody wants to spend $300, and not everybody has, the space for a Neutron, which is hard for me to imagine with all these giant synthesizers, but I totally do get that, people like lots of small little things nowadays, and so yeah, this is an alternative to the Neutron that I think is going to be a lot more appealing to a lot of people, because some people just don't really dig the Neutron. I think the Neutron's awesome. I think that is, like, there is so much synthesizer packed into that little tiny thing. Definitely a lot more. Hey, Kinkas. Nice to see you. It's great to see all of you guys. Yeah, so the VCA is the VCA out, and it's kind of interesting. All right, so I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to move on to the Odyssey now. And I am going to, so this sequencer is, okay, the Odyssey sequencer is, my particular prototype is a little more farther along than this Crave sequencer, from what I can tell. So, that being said, I'm going to show you a lot of those features on the Odyssey rather than on the Crave. But it is the same sequencer. A low octave saw and do a filter sweep. Of course. I will do that, and then let's move on to the... Okay. Wait a minute. I'm just... This is a discovery. If you don't need an LFO, my friends, you have a second oscillator. Check it out. Gonna need to do some scaling on that CV, it sounds like. But anyway, there you go. Yes. Yeah, it's it's analog. The only thing that is CV-able or CC-able via MIDI, as far as I know, and don't take this for gospel, but I believe the Glide is, because it is on the Odyssey, because it's software based. This may actually be analog Glide, but I'm pretty sure it's the same Glide circuit that is included, because you could do Glide per step, and that's why it's software based, so you can do that. And I mean, I am convinced that a lookup table is just fine these days for envelopes and all kinds of stuff. The Odyssey, actually, that is one of the changes that the Odyssey has, is it actually has software-based envelopes. And hopefully we're going to have some fun with that. I would love that. Of course, the tempo gate length knob is also controllable, of course. But that's it. Everything else is analog. Moving on to the Behringer Odyssey. I need to upgrade my lighting situation in here. I am, it's a good thing that it's wintertime, even though it's in South Florida, because, yeah, I'm using straight up incandescent light in here. So check it out. If I had set this thing to end at 8:30, but we're just now getting to the Odyssey, I wanted this to be really informal and just hang out with you guys and all that stuff. I had this thing set to end at 8:30 Eastern, but if hopefully it won't automatically end. I've never done a I've never done a set end time before, so that's we're just gonna have to see. Yeah, I may do. But I would like to show you guys some Odyssey real quick. So what I'm going to do is just play some for you. First without effects and then with effects, okay? Internal effects. Oh, and to answer a question real quick about the Odyssey, the external audio input will route sound through the effects section. Wouldn't it be silly if they were CV controllable? I was just doing that, but wouldn't it be funny if you could? Oh, so right now I have the CV output connected back into the CV input, and what that allows you to do is it defeats the duophonic. The second oscillator normally is in high note priority. If I remove this, so now it's duophonic, but if I put this back in the what it does is it causes this thing, it forces both oscillators into low note priority. And if you don't like the retriggering of the envelope every time, you can also patch. I don't know if I can do this. Wait, I know how to do this. If you have synthesizers and you have a rack equipment, I recommend getting one of these little mirrors. Okay, so what I did was I patched the gate output back into the trigger input. And what that's going to do is that's going to defeat the retriggering. So this is very, especially if I put this into the Mark II filter mode, this is very Moog-like now. I turn that sample and hold off so you can hear this really. So yeah, now you've got nice smooth lines that only trigger the envelope on each. You know, it's like legato. It's like a mini Moog. Let's talk about the ring modulation. I didn't really get to this very much. I could have spent that entire presentation at the Music Tribe event on the Odyssey alone. I mean, I could talk about this synthesizer all day. So the ring modulation is automatically hardwired to the pulse outputs of both oscillators. It just takes both of those. I think David talked about this in his presentation of the Odyssey, that it uses a ring modulator takes two inputs and outputs both the sum of those frequencies and the difference between the two frequencies. And so you end up with those like bell-like tones. He had a very good explanation of it. So you can really start to get into some of those FM type of sounds, especially when you start syncing the oscillators. So now I'll sync the oscillators and get even more interesting tones. So how you get those sync sweeps, like the like that Prophet 5 Let's Go sound, the cars, is the oscillator that you were syncing. Like one becomes the carrier of the pitch, and the other one is the sync, is what's the source of the sync. So it's changing the pitch of that over time changes the harmonic content of the waveform. So what we're going to do is apply ADSR FM to the second oscillator. So that is, I also have the filter being controlled by the ADSR. So we'll need less of that so that you're hearing more of the effect from the sync sweep and less from the filter sweep. See, you're already starting to get that metallic tone. And basically, you just have to keep playing with the pitch until you find that magic sweet spot where it goes wow. I think this synthesizer sounds great. It's a little different sounding than the Korg ARP. But I wouldn't say better or worse. I'd say the Korg ARP is a little more forward, maybe. It's kind of got a little bit more of a... there's more of a raw sound. It's actually harder to get that. Like, I actually do some stuff to the high end when I play live or when I record it. Like, I do some stuff to kind of roll off some of the harshness. I find this Behringer Odyssey to be a little easier to maneuver in a mix. But I mean, you can still, obviously, like, you can still get all the crazy ring mod fight. What kind of ring mod fight? Do you want to? Here's the ring mod. Watch this. I kind of like the term barp. I actually have them labeled as carp and barp in my Logic project, like my template. It's just easier. It's not really the best official word, but yeah. So let's talk about those effects. So I'm going to start from the end of the effects list, and we're going to go. First of all, I'm going to reiterate what I said. Here, let me zoom in better on the, so you can see the effects a little bit better. I'm just going to zoom in here. I've got the Odyssey controlled by my other keyboard down here, so I don't have to really reach up there much. There. I don't know that you can see the display is the thing. I don't know if lowering the lighting would help or not. Let's see. A little bit, huh? Not really. Let me see if I can get the glare off of those LEDs. I wanted you to see at least what the thing looks like. Maybe I can just move closer. There's just kind of a glare on it, I guess. Isn't that strange? Yeah, I can't seem to get it to where you can see it, but anyway. It's the Clark Technic effects in here are very basic. I mean, I don't know if you can barely see it says Clipper right now. So right now it's on the Clipper. One of the things, and this may change, but I don't know, is the effects don't go 100% wet. So some of these effects are more suited to insert effects like this Clipper. But it's still cool to have. I mean, like you heard a second ago, I was doing some straight up, like acid style stuff. Like it's, pretty nasty. So you have parameters for the distortion level. How much low cut. So I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier about the effects, is that, yeah, I have terrible lighting and a terrible camera right now, but I'm working on fixing that. Now that I'm making more videos again. Does the Crave make a sweet or a salty 303? It's definitely more of a sweet version, although at some point later we're going to hook that thing up to a tube distortion unit, and we're going to see what it can really do. I'm going to put it through my twin tube. I might just run it through my whole guitar rig. Is that a veiled criticism, Scott Youngblood? Anyway. So what I said earlier about the effects is that they are persistent when you change the parameters on the effects and you switch effects to the next one and you come back. Those parameters will still stay. Oops. I'm still not used to all this gigantic keyboard rig, so like I keep reaching for the wrong. There's like 9 synthesizers on this one rack, plus my Rhodes. I'm going to get a more normal sound. So there's definitely, even though the dry signal is still present, you still can get a lot of use out of the clipping distortion. I think it's really cool that it has. So the next one is Talkbox. And that one is kind of, obviously it ain't no talk box, but what it is, it's a formant filter with an LFO on it. And you can choose 2 vowel sounds, and then you can set, and almost every effect in here has a tap tempo right here. So even though they're not necessarily MIDI syncable, MIDI clockable, oh yeah, it does normal sounds too. It plays both kinds of music. Hi, Bill Evans. Good to see you. Oh, yeah. We're getting to it. We're just talking about some technical stuff right now. So Talkbox is a formant filter, and it sounds like this. I keep hitting all these other synthesizers with my microphone, so I'm going to turn them down. So right now we're going between I and A. So let's go between O and U. Well, that doesn't sound very great. Let's try A and O. U and E work pretty good. Wii U. So you can either use the knob to change parameters, or the tap tempo. You can just tap it. So notice something. I'm going to put it back on the A and, what is it, A and I. That seems to be the most noticeable effect. That sounds like a sinus. That sounds like a sine wave LFO to me. Notice how it sort of parks there at the end of the cycle. For a thing like that, I think sine is definitely the way to go rather than like a triangle. Anyway, LFO filter. So this is just exactly what you think. It's a filter that's controlled by an LFO. So if, 3 low-pass filters and a high-pass wasn't enough for you, there's another one here. Oh my goodness, I'm clipping like crazy. I'm sorry. Right, country and western. You got it. So the tap tempo works pretty well. The thing is, Frank Delamora, there's actually a lot more where that came from. By the time this year is over, the list of, oh man, my camera fell down. I'm sorry. The list of Behringer synthesizers by the end of this year is going to be gigantic. Yeah, there's actually, there's going to be even more synthesizers. There are so many synthesizers. Behringer synthesizers, in my opinion, this is the most exciting thing happening in this at this level of synth development. As far as like packaged, complete synthesizers, nobody's doing what Uli's doing, man. It's super exciting to me. Moving right along. This is like one of those, if you ever watch people, like, I think it's funny that we have, a culture that likes to, I don't want to play video games. I want to watch somebody else play video games on YouTube or Twitch. So this is a long play instead of like a tool assisted speed run or something. This is a long play. There's a long play of all the effects. So there are a couple layered effects. So this is chorus and reverb, and what it gives you is a balance between the two. So you can have them both in parallel, or you can have just chorus or just reverb. And then, of course, there are those effects by themselves as well. We'll get to it. So here's chorus and reverb. There's just the reverb. What I like about some of these reverbs is that you can set them to a very long, they're not particularly great sounding, but you can set them to a really long time and get some cool effects like this. That's the chorus part, so if you mix the two, you get this. All right, that's not too exciting. There's delay and reverb, which I imagine a lot of people are probably going to put it on this and leave it. Because it's both. You got both, man. Obviously, tappable tempo again. Tempable tap. Yeah, you know, I was going to do popcorn. We got to get even shorter attack, though. So, I actually just bought that record. It used to belong to Jay Dilla. I bought it from Bubba Ayub. That's all reverb. That's all delay. And then there's a mixture of the two. Moving right along, we have pitch shift. Okay, there's two pitch shift algorithms. One is a single pitch shift, and the other one is a dual pitch shift. And they're just ridiculous pitch shifters. You know, you can do ridiculous stuff with them. I like to set them to octaves and just make it sound like there's even more oscillators. One thing that's pretty neat is that there's a pre-delay parameter, so you can actually have it. You know, you can use it almost like a fake like gate delay sound. And of course, you can go down as well. You can also make it detune. Yeah, it's like knockoff shimmer. Okay, so that is the single pitch shift. There's also a dual pitch shift. So now you can do rave chords, man. Let's put it on auto repeat. So there's that. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, like, straight up late 90s right there. But isn't that cool? You got that. And then, of course, there is a straight up detune, which sometimes I like detune better than chorus because, like, you get that pitch, thickening without actual modulation happening. So I'm just going to have, here's the sound by itself. Here, let me get something that has absolutely zero stuff going on. Okay, where is that coming from? Oh. Still got some modulation going on. I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I was doing a filter FM. No wonder it sounded the way it did. Anyway, that's fine. So there's a straight tone, and I'm going to add some detune. And now here's the detune parameter. 99 cents in either direction. That's not a price, that's the detune. What's cool is that there's a pre-delay for the detune, so you can also get that doubling effect. So that's just one oscillator. Here's two. Roger Williams, that is actually, when I'm running a sequence, that's actually the sequencer that is built into the Odyssey, which is the same sequencer that's in the Crave. So it's really cool. It's the MS-101, the Odyssey, and the Crave all have the same sequencer. Yeah, we'll go an octave down. Change the note resolution. So this does some cool stuff with the filter. Yeah, man. Giorgio Moroder. Okay, so there's the detune. And what's cool, right? So all of these effects that I've been playing with the parameters and I've got them set like I like, when I go back to them, they'll still be like that. And if I turn the thing off and I put it back on, it'll still be like that. Frank, that is what's up. That is awesome. He's a legend. So, yeah. Wow, that is high praise, Adrian Smith. I really appreciate that. And thank you for listening. I appreciate all of you who have stuck around for this entire stream. There's so much more. I'm so excited about this thing. I just want to keep talking about it. So let's just go on. So there's a tremolo effect. I'm not even going to worry about it. It's whatever. The phaser, the phaser I really like because I'm a big fan of Donald Byrd, and there's a particular Donald Byrd track called "Stepping Into Tomorrow" that uses this. Well, actually, it's not just that track, but there's a lot of Donald Byrd. Basically any of the Donald Byrd stuff that was produced by, well, basically anybody who was produced by Larry and Fonz Mazel. The Mazel brothers used a lot of ARP Odyssey, and there was this particular tone. What do you say? Tool Squatch says, I can't wait to see what else Behringer comes out with. This long list comment from earlier has me hyped. Oh, I wish I could tell you. Let me tell you what. Oh, we'll do some more bass for sure. So anyway, this sound right here is basically this phaser sounds a lot like a Phase 100, and that Mazel tone was where is my Phase 100? I'm a phaser freak, by the way. I sort of collect them. This is a homemade Phase 100 script logo Phase 100 clone, and it's close enough for me. It sounds just like the original, and it was way cheaper. Anyway, run your Odyssey through one of these, and you get that Mazel sound. But anyway, this is now you have it right in your Odyssey because there's the phaser right there. So check this out. Let me find the right tone. So one of the things that you do is this is sort of a Steve Porcaro trick, like the blip at the beginning of, this is how they do brass sounds. Basically, oh wait, I'm going to make this a little wider so you can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. I keep forgetting that I had this thing trained on a particular thing. Okay, here we go. Now you can see more of what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have oscillator 2. First, I'm going to tune them together. So that's a pretty good brass sound already. Very Moog-y brass sound. All right, but I'm going to put a little blip, a little pitch blip, right on the beginning of it. By adding some ADSR modulation to the second oscillator. So this is going to require, so what you have to do, let me show you how the ADSR settings are right now. What you have to do is set the sustain level fairly high. And that is going to, wherever the sustain is set, is going to be your final pitch of the second oscillator. So you have to hold down a note, let it get to the sustain phase, and then tune the second oscillator to be in tune with the first one, like this. Okay, so now the attack and the decay will shape the how much of that blip we get. And you can get a nice little fall off if you add some release time to it. So there you go. There's the blip brass. Mark Stewart, how's it going? Okay, so there's that, but let's it's still too, the attack is too sharp. We need to soften it a little bit. I actually think there's a little bit too much blip on here. So if we take some of this CV amount off, that means we have to retune the oscillator. Steve Percaro is legend. It was really an honor to be able to go and spend some quality time with his big Polyfusion. And there's going to be an announcement about that soon, but I can't talk about that right now. It's going to be cool. You're going to be happy, I think. Or not. I'm going to be happy, at least I hope. So, now I'm going to add that phaser in there, right? And now you've got this sort of... Yeah, I don't really know. Ha! Everyone give it up for Glasses. Amazing, amazing. Thanks for coming through, dude. That guy is a legend. So, recently, the keyboard player for Todd Rundgren's Utopia reunion, and got to meet him in Fort Lauderdale, and dude, he was so great, this guy. You got to check his music out. Glassys. Amazing, amazing player. So there's the phaser. Here's a flanger. Well, I think people should know that. So this guy. So what happened was Ralph Shookett, the original keyboard player, was slated to be on keys for that tour, and he had an illness at the last minute, and like 2 weeks before rehearsals were going to start. And so basically, Todd put a thing out on Facebook, like saying, "Hey, maybe there's somebody who just knows all our material." Well, anyway, apparently. Todd's son plays with, or has known this man, Gil Glasses, and he's like, "You don't need to look any further. This is the guy." And I wasn't, I had heard his stuff before, and I was like, does he know all the stuff? Well, let me tell you what. This guy learned all of that very difficult material in like a couple of weeks and blew everybody's mind at these shows. So, yeah. My hat's off, and it's a pleasure to get to say that publicly. Okay, so moving right along. So flanger, gives you a flanger if you like flangers. And it will also do negative feedback. I wish I could show it to you, Wagyu. It's one of those things where I am not really 100% sure about the how much we're ready to share about it yet. Like I need to talk to Uli about that. But as soon as I get the go ahead, I will definitely be showing it off and letting you guys hear it, because it's amazing. It's still very, very early in development, so that's one reason we don't want to share these things. No wine before it's time and all that jazz, right? Like we don't want to spoil it. We don't want to show something that isn't quite ready for prime time. Yeah, the effects are cool, and what's really awesome, okay, is that the effects section does, like if I run something through the external input here, it will go through the effects. As a matter of fact, why don't I just do that right now? Let's give me a second. I'm just going to run this here sequence while I figure out how to do this. So I'm going to run the Rhodes piano through this. Let you hear how the effects sound on an instrument that's really pure sounding like a Rhodes. I think it's probably a good example. I was just trying to get the shot where you could sort of see what's what everything is. All right, we'll do some boogie. We'll do some boogie in. Yeah, that's Mini Moog bass. I think I need to tune that Moog actually. Okay, that's the now. Here comes the yeah. Here's some Crave lead. Whoa, what was happening here? I forgot I had all this crazy audio rate madness going on. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, there we go. Boy, this is clipping. Yeah, the Crave probably. I haven't. It's very similar to a DS1, but it might be a little bit more. Might be a shade lighter than that orange, but it's very similar to a DS1 if you know what that color is like. Yeah. Here we go. Let's do that. How about some Crave bass and some Crave lead? Well, I think that there is probably it's probably about time for me to go. There's so much more I could say, and I will be doing another stream probably next week because I would like to get to a little bit more of the features of the Odyssey, and I would also like to spend a little more time with the sequencer. Hopefully we can get the firmware updated before I see you again, and I can show you the cool new things that the Crave can do. And hopefully anyway. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate you coming, and it's really a pleasure to be here doing this and hanging out with you guys, and hope you all have a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see you on the Facebooks and Instagrams and all that jazz. Until next time, this has been Matt Baxley, a.k.a. Moot Booxle. Have a great one.